Okay, the pressure's on to make a good impression because I know some of you motherfuckers will have already disliked before I finish this sentence. Anyway, my goal with this video is simply to point out some of the hypocrisy in the anti-SJW community. What began as a liberal backlash against social justice has kind of morphed into what is essentially a conservative safe space. There hasn't been a greater validation in my mind recently of the idea that as social movements grow, they eventually reach a critical mass which makes them go to shit. And I think that you can see this in a lot of different areas. You know, when anything appeals to a large amount of people, it's inevitable that in order to stay on top, you have to start catering to the lowest common denominator. If we can agree that the average person is stupid, then you can kind of see where I'm going with this. With the anti-SJW community, I think as more and more people jumped on the bandwagon, the audience pool became skewed farther and farther to the right, and became a way for conservatives to take the high ground, so to speak, because SJWs are objectively stupid. There's no denying that. And I'm not opposed to criticizing them or the regressive left whatsoever. But where I draw the line is when people call themselves liberal, and probably are liberal, but have audiences that are dominated by idiot conservatives and Trump supporters, and who only ever seem to take the side of the right when it comes to the issues that they talk about. The biggest example of this is Sargon of Akkad, who has climbed his way to the top of the now rather overcrowded community of anti-SJWs. And maybe he truly does believe in a lot of liberal ideas, but the thing is, he never talks about them. You can hold both liberal and conservative beliefs at the same time, but when you only ever give voice to one side, I have to question how dedicated you are to the liberal values that you claim to uphold. Because when the issues that you discuss and advocate for prop up the non-liberal side, to the point where we have Donald fucking Trump in office as president, you can't say that this is a liberal movement anymore. And if it isn't a liberal movement, that's fine, but then stop calling yourselves liberals. Legitimate liberal issues aren't even mentioned in this community anymore because the audience is so conservative that it just wouldn't fly. Where is the condemnation of Trump, of Breitbart, of these completely idiotic and illiberal and dangerous ideas and people that are riding the wave of anti-SJW sentiment? When was the last time half of these YouTubers criticized any other religion besides Islam? Because whenever someone tries to, or expresses even moderate liberal sentiments anymore, they get downvoted and disliked to hell. And exhibit alpha for this is Thunderfoot himself, someone who used to be the poster boy for the Skeptic community, the slayer of Anita Sarkeesian. He's essentially disowned the community and been disowned in turn. Now he only posts science videos and doesn't even talk about politics anymore. And for what? Because he dared to criticize Sargon for joking about the murder of a feminist YouTuber less than a day after he had died? And even though he was 100% correct about the entire situation, Thunderfoot's audience turned on him, made up every bullshit excuse they could muster to defend their precious god from Akkad. And again, Thunderfoot was 100% correct. What Sargon did was not only disgusting and in bad taste, but showed just how far the anti-SJW community has fallen, into becoming just another identity in identity politics. When you go from criticizing ideas to making fun of a man who just died just because he was a feminist, this is tribalism. It's not rational discourse, it's not free thinking, it's not skepticism. It's partisan politics, it's identity politics. It's everything that anti-SJWs used to be against. But again, when you reach a critical mass, any community becomes a giant circle jerk. And the so-called skeptic community is no exception. Just today, I saw a video titled, "Amazing Moment, Trump puts Marine's hat back on after it blows away." It's an amazing moment, people! Tell me this isn't partisan. And YouTube is filled with this kind of incredibly transparent propaganda. I mean, hundreds of channels that are just clickbait pro-Trump and anti-liberal. The anti-SJW movement was supposed to be a movement by and for disenfranchised liberals. But more and more, it's becoming dominated by conservatives, or at least conservative ideas. So to all the anti-SJW YouTubers who jumped on the bandwagon, but who honestly care about liberal values, I say this. You cannot be conservative on every modern issue and cultivate an audience of conservatives and claim to be a liberal. Either start talking more like a liberal and challenge your audience, or just come out and say that you're on the right. I really don't care. But stop calling yourself liberal while acting in such a way that people who you don't agree with feel like they have a friend in you. This is Death to Stupid, signing off.